Season 2 of my F1 2020 My Team Career Mode is over. It's time to step forward onto Season 3. Welcome to another video, guys. My name is Tom and welcome to the pre-Season 3 episode. We have a lot of work to do until we hit the track at the first race. And here we are on our headquarters already at the end of the season, and we have the reminder of the contract renewal. Are we going to renew with Lando, or are we going to the driver market and search for another driver? And the decision wasn't that hard. Lando only scored point once. It was at the penultimate race, while me finished in P3 at the end of the standings. So I think the decision is pretty clear. But before jumping into that, we're going to take a final look to the drivers and constructors standings. So Valtteri Bottas won his first Formula 1 championship, and behind is Lewis Hamilton, so the Mercedes in the league of their own, and Bottas was the one taking the crown. David beat Goliath, then followed by myself with 152 points, and then we actually finished with quite a comfortable margin against Sergio Perez and Pierre Gasly doing an awesome season with AlphaTauri. And maybe the biggest disappointment of this season, Red Bull finishing P6 and P7 with Alexander Albon being the best of them, followed then by Max Verstappen. 8th place we have Lance Stroll finished just behind the two Red Bulls in P8, Charles Leclerc finishing P9, followed by Esteban Ocon closing the top 10. Vettel, a very hard season for him, for Ferrari and Ferrari in general, because Leclerc only finished in 9th place. Daniel Ricciardo, Daniel Kvyat, Carlos Sainz, also a very harsh season with McLaren. Matsushita, one of the two rookies, finishing P15 with just 29 points. And then we have a huge gap from the Japanese to Lando Norris, which only scored 8 points, and the only occasion that he scored points was at the Brazilian Grand Prix, the penultimate race of Season 2. And then the last podium scorer was George Russell with an awesome performance at Singapore, where he performed to absolute perfection a one-stop strategy. The guys that didn't score points were Kevin Magnussen, Kimi Räikkönen, which is going to leave the sport, unfortunately, didn't finish his career on a high, and then Antonio Giovinazzi. And to close things down, we have Nick de Vries, the other rookie, and Nicolas Latifi with no points as well. In the constructor standings, it was a walk in the park for Mercedes, followed by Racing Point, Red Bull that managed to finish in P3 because both drivers were consistent, then AlphaTauri. And now we get to the reason why I'm going to fire Lando, because we finished in 5th place in the standings, but it could have well been a easy P3, and we were just 4 points behind AlphaTauri. If Lando scored, let's suppose, maybe just 100 points, that would mean 206, and we would be very easily in P2. So without a surprise, I'm going to fire Lando, and this is the main reason. Then we have Ferrari, McLaren, Renault, and then in the league of the backmarkers we have Haas with just 1 point thanks to Russell, then Alfa Romeo, and to close things down once again, Williams with a very harsh season. So these are the standings at the end of the season. Let's take a look at my results. The season didn't start very well with the P16 at Australia. I still remember that the car was undrivable, at least for me. Then we start to score very good points with the P7 at Bahrain. Then we got the best result so far, which was P5. At Monaco, we got 8th place plus the fastest lap. That was the first time that I got a fastest lap in my team career mode. Austria, we got that DNF because the game crashed and I didn't want to do the race because I don't have all the whole time in the world. Austria, we got a DNF because the game crashed and I didn't have time to do once again the race. And I can say that Codemasters screwed me a little bit in the constructor standings because we scored good points in this race. In the British Grand Prix, I wasn't very careful and I got front wing damage, and that was my quest for points over P15. And we got our very first podium thanks to an awesome one-stop strategy at Hungary. Then we improved our result at Belgium in P2, and then we got our very first win at the Italian Grand Prix. So we got P3, P2, P1. This is where the big results start to show off. Then in Singapore we finished once again in the podium, but this time in 2nd place. The Japanese Grand Prix was a bit of a reality check, P7. In Mexico we almost took our very first pole position. We started in P2 alongside Valtteri Bottas, which was crowned world champion in that race. We managed to still finish on the podium after pitting on the first lap for a front wing change. It was a hell of a comeback, and we still managed to set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Brazilian Grand Prix, what a race, what a battle with our teammates and Pierre Gasly, but it wasn't enough for the podium. And then to close things up, we had the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix finish in P9 plus the fastest lap. In general, an awesome season, very consistent. Almost scoring points in every single race. So I have high expectations for Season 3. I don't know if it's going to be possible to win the championship. It will depend on how the Mercedes are going to develop as well, because Mercedes is pretty high up Toyota on the performance chart. You can see that I have plenty of money, $32 million, and plenty of resource points. I've been saving a lot because I already have an idea of what driver I want to sign. So here we are already in the contract renewal. We have two options: renegotiate with Lando or go to the driver market, and that is going to be goodbye for Lando, a pretty easy decision. And we're going to the driver market, and you're going to see the guys that I've been watching over the course of this season. In first place we have Sebastian Vettel, which is the most expensive in this list. You can see that all these guys have less rating than Lando, but I have no choice. I need to choose another driver which has good chances to score points. The rating doesn't mean everything in this game, I just want to remind that. Then we have Alexander Albon, really caught my attention for beating Max Verstappen in the standings. You don't see that every single day. Then Pierre Gasly did wonders with AlphaTauri. Sergio Perez, remember that he took his very first win at the beginning of the season at the Dutch Grand Prix, and he finished behind us in the standings. And then George Russell, despite scoring just 1 point, he managed to beat that backmarker league by quite a margin. I think he has a pretty bright future ahead of him in a much competitive car. I already took my decision, and my very first option and is going to be Sebastian Vettel, because he's been suffering a lot with Ferrari in the real life and in the game. I really want to give him a chance, and Sebastian Vettel, if you don't know, is one of my favorite drivers. It is my man, so it would be a dream to have him on my team. So what we're going to do, we're going to approach Vettel, and let's hope that he accepts our offer. We are approaching the driver, and unfortunately he declined the offer. Oh no, are you kidding? Oh, I really wanted Vettel, but he didn't accept our conditions. We have enough cash, we have a good chassis department, and unfortunately what is making Vettel declining this offer is our Constructors' Championship result is where we finish in the Constructors' Championship. We wanted 4th or better, and our car in the performance chart is just in 5th place. So unfortunately Vettel is not going to be in our team. I'm a little bit sad, I'm not gonna lie, but anyway, it is what it is. We're going to go back and we're going to remove Vettel, stop watching, and now we have these 3 options, and now I need to think a little bit. Albon, Gasly, Perez and Russell. I need to think a little bit. Albon did a great season with Red Bull, and despite the car not giving the best results, he managed to beat one of the best in the business, which it is Max Verstappen. Then Gasly did wonders with AlphaTauri, and then George Russell, despite not showing a point scoring finish because the car is trash, he destroyed the back markers, and I think I already did my decision. I'm going with George Russell. He has a very good rating, not the best. He's being beaten by Gasly and Perez, but I'm going to risk and choose him because I have the feeling that he's going to do wonders with my car. So let's go. He has less rating than Lando. I'm going to approach him, and I think it's going to be pretty easy because he's a young driver, I want to say, and yes, there you go. Okay, it's between me and Haas. We're going to start the negotiations, and we're going to put a small bid. We have plenty of cash, and now I'm just doing the bids, just putting a little bit higher and higher to make things really hard for Haas. And now we're going to put some large bids to be a little bit more annoying. We have plenty of cash, and I think Haas doesn't have that much. Under consideration, finalizing deal, and Haas cuts that off, so we're going to put another large bill. Come on Haas, give up, give up, give up. Under consideration, and let's put a small bid now. Come on Haas. Haas is being really resilient at the moment. They really want George, I wonder why. Finalizing deal. And there you go, George Russell is our driver for Season 3 for Tom Motorsport. There you go, in our Season 2 suit. You're going to see in a few minutes type the Season 3 suit and the car, of course. But there you have it, super happy, and I have a good feeling that George Russell is going to be a great teammate and definitely is going to be a huge plus, especially in the battle for the constructor standings and for the team in general. Complete negotiations, and there you go, signed. 14.2 million of contract costs, 9.7 on salary, plus 4.5 million of buyouts. The contract expires at the half stage of the season, 20th of July, and we are back to our headquarters and take a last look to the Season 2 car, that CM002. It was a very good car. The start of the season wasn't the best, but this car showed that can be a big gun. Take a last look. 3, 2, 1, and welcome to pre-season, guys. The real pre-season now. The car in full camo for the teams not to see what we are hiding from them. All the guys now are going to start to work, and we're going to start to work as well because we have 6.8 results points. We have a lot to spend, so we're going to the R&D tree. You can see that at the moment we are just behind Ferrari in the performance chart. Before starting to buy upgrades, we're going to see our performances in each department. The performance train is our best department. We are in first place, only behind Mercedes and Aston Martin, so I'm not going to give that much attention to this department. The aerodynamics, we are a little bit down the order, just ahead of the back markers. So definitely are going to put a bit of investment here. And in the chassis, we are not that bad in P4. And in the reliability, I'm not been investing that much because now the seasons are short, just 16 races. And I think I just had 2 occasions where we had grid penalties, so that's the reason that I'm not giving that much attention to the durability, and that's why we are second last. So my choices are pretty clear. We're going to start to invest a lot in the aerodynamics. I'm going to buy 2 major upgrades for the front wing and the rear wing, you can see. So we're going to buy those one standard. We are not in a rush. We're going to buy this one as well, already with 4K. and we're going to make a final upgrade, and we can't actually because the department capacity is reached. So we're going to do a major for the chassis, and we're going to do these 2 minors for the engine, for the fuel efficiency and the ERS deployment. So we still have 1k resource points to spend, but first I'm going to let all these upgrades to come, because some of them might fail and we need resource points to fix them. We have some activities. Let's invest in George's performance. There you go, agenda full. And now it's time for the press interview with Will Blaxton.
Well, it's great to be back at your headquarters, and I've got to say, an awful lot's changed since we were last here. Let's dive in with some questions. Are you looking to make changes in order to push your team from the midfield up to being a title contender?
It's going to be really hard because we are in a position that we still can't win consistent races, which is a thing that you really need when you're battling for the first place in the constructor standings, and for that you need to make several changes in the car. So we are always looking to make changes. You can't still stand still in this sport because everything is changing in Formula 1. You never know what can happen in the future.
George Russell is a promising young driver. Will you be giving him the chance to shine in your team?
That's the reason that we signed him. His performance with Haas last season was incredible. That race that he did in Singapore, where he scored just 1 point, was absolute masterclass of a drive. And he's been spending a lot of time in not much competitive cars. You can see that in 2019. You could see that in 2019 he did wonders with that Williams, despite not scoring points. And that's kind of a drive that we're expecting to see from him, but this time in a much better car, we hope.
Your team's had their first win in Formula 1. Is this a sign of things to come?
Definitely this is a great start, a good sign of things come. You never know what can happen in Formula 1. We've been working really hard during this winter, but our simulation says that the car is going to be a big gun, so probably you're going to expect maybe see us on the podium a few more times.
Your second driver looks to have been really busy recently. It's always good to see that level of dedication, isn't it?
Formula 1 is a sport that you need to be as best prepared as you can, and it's not all about performance. It needs to do as less mistakes as it can. Consistency is key in Formula 1.
You've managed to negotiate contracts with new sponsors. How important is this fresh injection of cash to the team?
Definitely the money from our great sponsor is going to really come in handy. In terms of aerodynamics, we've not been that good in Season 2, so that's the area that we're going to focus more during this winter.
It's been wonderful to spend some time with you. Best of luck out on track.
So the interview is done. We're already at the end of the season, where we're going to get our rewards for finishing in P5 in the constructor standings. And you can see that we still have some money to spend. We have $19 million, and I want to spend a little bit on our headquarters, because it's been a while since I made the last upgrade. So we're going to the personnel. You can see that we didn't at the moment do any upgrades in the fitness center, just 1.5 million. We're going to do that. It's going to come at the end of February. In order to make the aerodynamic upgrades come faster, we're going to buy an upgrade for the build time, and they're going to come faster as well. We're going to do that for the chassis, and despite having a lot of resource points at the moment, I think we need a little bit of more resource points to generate, and we're going to do that in the aerodynamic department. Now we have $2.19 million. Now it's time to get to the end of the season, where we're going to get our payments. So there you have it. We're going to have a lot of acclaim, a lot. You can see level 16, George Russell is going to remain in level 14, and we're going to remain in level 20, but you can see that we got 60% of acclaim boost, so you always want to see that. In terms of cash, we're going to get 16.8 million from Indevolo, our primary sponsor, and then 2 million for our prize in the with the 5th place in constructor standings, and now we have almost $39 million in terms of cash. And we have our final standings. We got 1 win, 0 pole positions, 152 points, and that resulted in 3rd place in the driver's standings. George Russell, meanwhile, only got 1 point, but the numbers don't tell the whole story, because he's been performing very well with Haas, and finishing 17 in the driver's standings. But now, with some Motorsport, I have a good feeling that he's going to do better than that. And now let's take a look of the calendar for this season. We're going to have, once again, 16 races, but now the season starter is going to be at Bahrain. Then we're going to China, Netherlands, Spain is back to the calendar, Monaco, Azerbaijan. Then you have a streak of classic tracks with Austria, Silverstone, Hungary, Spa-Francorchamps, Monza, and Singapore. And to close things off, we have Japan, USA, Mexico, and to close the season, we're going to have Brazil once again, like in the old days. In terms of rules, everything is pretty much the same, with the exception of the qualifying sessions. They are not anymore a 3-session qualifying session with Q1, Q2, and Q3. they are going to be just now a single short qualifying session of 18 minutes. The races are going to be as always 50% ones, with the difficulty in ultimate always. All the upgrades are ready, you can see, so that is very good news for us, and we have $40 million of cash, so it's time to buy more upgrades for our headquarters. I really want George Space to be really good, so we're going to buy another upgrade for the personnel, this time for the simulator, and another one for the fitness center, which is going to improve his racecraft and awareness. So you can see that I'm investing a lot on George. I really want to invest once again in the resource point generation, this time on the chassis department, and do the same in the engine department as well. And finally, in the marketing department, we're going to buy an upgrade for the activities management, which is going to have a positive effect in every single activity. It's time to buy more upgrades. We're going to buy this for the DRS slot cap on the Aero, and we can't spend any more resource points because we just have 181. But now this is the stage of the video where I'm going to stop recording, because I still need to do some tweaks to the car and the suits, so I'll be right back. So guys, I'm back with the livery done, the suit done, the race crew clothes and the pit crew suit as well, and the all mods loaded in the game. At the moment you're not seeing the livery, this is just the test livery still, but you can get already a little bit of a taste of what you guys are going to see. You can see the wheel rims are in fuchsia, overview menu, and you're going to see that we have a lot of upgrades to our facility. So, and before jumping into the car reveal, we're going to have the power and durability focus, which is going to give us a 1k resource point, so this is going to really come in handy. After the car reveal, we're going to have the driver training camp. This is going to be really good for George. And before the season opener at Bahrain, we're going to focus on the aero and chassis, and that is going to give us 1k points like it is in the engine department. So with everything set, we're going to click on advanced time. We're going to get a bunch of money sooner rather later. There you go. We're going to have almost $2 million of dollars. We're going to focus on the aero and the chassis, and every single upgrade to our facility done is still in spec 2. Everything is in spec 2 basically, with the exception of the durability department. So what are you going to do? Going to buy an upgrade for the fuel efficiency, and that is going to really come in handy, especially at the start of the races, which we can put less fuel on the car. So that will cost us 1.3k resource points, and I'm gonna take a little risk. This is not very common in my series. We're going to rush the development, and hopefully this is going to end well. So it's a risk that I'm taking. Now it's time for the moment that you all been waiting for, which is the season car reveal, the TM003. But before jumping into that, I'm gonna take you a quick look at all the teams for this season 3. Remember that all the liveries are going to be new, so it's going to be a fully modded My Team career mode for this season. And without further ado, let's go to all the teams for my F1 2020 My Team career mode season 3. Once again, without scoring points, we have Williams with a very young lineup with not that much experience, considered by Nick de Vries and Nick Latifi. However, there's some expectation from the veteran team that will count from now on Williams PlayStation, after an agreement with Sony, which they promote their latest product, the PlayStation 5. The Japanese company decided to invest early in the team in order to make them fight for points paying position, task that won't be easy at all. Probably the biggest disappointment of Season 2, because they went from 68 points to 0 points in a space of one season. This was too much for the veteran Kimi Räikkönen that decided to leave the sport. This made the team give Luca Giotto a chance. He drove for Tom Motorsport in the first half of the team's first season and being booted out for not showing results. He'll have Antonio Giovinazzi as his teammate, which makes the Italian team have a 100% Italian lineup. There's also a drastic change in delivery, because now they have Veloce Esports as their main sponsor, and now the team is called Alfa Romeo Veloce. The team has the tough job of getting back to where they were. The American team managed to get a single point thanks to a fantastic performance from George Russell at the Singapore Grand Prix and win the league of the back markers. Haas will have some changes, starting with the team's name and livery after unprecedented agreement with a multi-millionaire fast food company McDonald's that becomes their main sponsor. Also, they have a new driver in the form of Lando Norris that comes from Tom Motorsport after a terrible season and not give the results that the car showed to deliver. He'll join alongside Kevin Magnussen. It wasn't the best result for Alpine, with a finish in 8th place in the standings. The team already knew that it would be a hard season with a rookie on board and being beaten by the debutant team in the previous season. And as expected, there's no miracles in Formula 1, and they finished once again in 8th place with some gap to McLaren. The French team has a huge amount of work to do if they want to get the result that we're used to. They maintain Daniel Ricciardo and Nobuharu Matsushita as their drivers. The team were walking at a season of mixed feelings. In one side they got their first win of the V6 hybrid era with their new driver Esteban Ocon at the Monaco Grand Prix, and on the other they didn't improve after being demoted from P5 to P7 in the constructor standings. The team has a new rebranding because now it's called McLaren Golf thanks to an agreement with American oil company. It's expected to see them as a big threat in the midfield with the same lineup formed by Esteban Ocon and Carlos Sainz. After a championship fight on the driver's stands with Sebastian Vettel on the previous season, the team from Maranello had a very tough season too, with only scoring 150 points and being behind the newest team, Tom Motorsport, and without a single race win. Charles Leclerc and Sebastian Vettel will be at the wheel of the car that decided to travel a couple of years ago when it comes to the livery, with a glossy paint, mission window and 2017-18 style racing numbers being implemented to the car. Will Ferrari be able to bounce back this year? It's the biggest news of Season 3. Porsche arrives to the sport since their last time as a works team back in 1962. Porsche's CEO Oliver Blum affirms that Porsche comes to F1 to show that the brand can be as competitive with hybrid power as in Formula E with electric energy. The Germans reached an agreement with Red Bull where they bought 100% of the Scuderia AlphaTauri. It was expected a severe change in the driver lineup, but the team shocked the paddock for not hiring a German driver. Instead, they decided to trust in Pierre Gasly that showed that can be a world champion material driver with a right car, and Daniel Kvyat that needs to start to show better results after being outscored by his teammate by 78 points. With expectations very high at the start of Season 2, with the objective of stopping Mercedes' dominance, it's clear that things didn't go as planned for Red Bull by any means. They finished in the final step of the podium, 12 points behind Aston Martin, with Verstappen and Albon scoring only 2 podiums each without getting a race win, even with the second best car theoretically. The team has a huge amount to climb if they want to get any chance to fight for glory. Aston Martin had a very successful first season with a win from Sergio Perez in the early stages of the season at the Dutch Grand Prix. However, they struggled for race pace, especially in the second half of the season, which is a thing that they need to improve. The drivers remained the same, with Checo and Lance Stroll that had a season to forget after being outscored by his teammates by 61 points and being 13 points behind both Red Bull drivers. The team also made a severe change in the livery, saying goodbye to the British green racing and saying hello to the lime green. Despite having a dominant season like it has been from the last few years, Mercedes has a big change this season thanks to the multi-millionaire partnership with Monster Energy that now owns 1/3 of the team. The drivers are the same, with Valtteri Bottas mega motivated after winning his first title, and alongside Lewis Hamilton that will do everything to not be beaten by his teammate again. Will someone be able to stop Mercedes? And there you have it, guys, the Tom Motorsport TM003. What a livery that I've created. Definitely a step forward in comparison with the Season 2 livery, which I was a bit of a fan of the blue that I put into the car. So I decided to remove that and to put the black and white, which is a color combination that I really like. And then my favorite color, which is fuchsia. We have a big Chungus Team Shizou logo, which are going to be our main sponsors for this season. If you want to check out Team Shizou, which is my esports team, there's a link in the description below of their website. You can find their socials. To talk very quickly about the sponsors. We have Team Shizou's official sponsors and the fake ones from the F1 2020 game. I think it's always good to keep that fantasy vibe. I know that we already have with the teams for this season, but I always like to keep some vanilla things of the game. Also, another sponsor that we had in Season 2 is Trustmaster, which is my wheel. And after that, there's a lot of sponsors which are things that I enjoy in life outside of motorsport, which I like to carry into the My Team universe. I really love this livery. You can see the real whims in the fuchsia. This livery gives me the feeling that we're going to get more than a race win, which is my main objective for this season. And if it's possible to battle for the Constructors' Championship, for sure that I'm going to try to do everything in my power to get it. Me and Georgia, of course. The helmet is also a step forward. We still have the rainbow of the Re-Racers 1, which I take inspiration from Sebastian Vettel helmet for the Turkish Grand Prix. which is one of my favorite helmets in Formula 1. We have the typical kiss my head honey, you won't regret it, that I always had since F1 2019, and then just a few bunch of sponsors, and the colors are the same that are on the car. The suit is not anymore those abstract triangles that we had. This time we have some asymmetrical stripes on the legs, which remind me a little bit of a pajamas, if I'm not gonna lie, and I think that was the purpose. The rest is a very simple design. We all are sponsors. Finally, a little look at the gloves. Very simple design also. I decided to put these two stripes in fuchsia and white just to give a little bit of more variety, not just be black. And now it's time to see what happens until the Bahrain Grand Prix. And we still have two upgrades that should be ready for the Bahrain Grand Prix. So let's click on advance and hopefully this is going to be ready. Come on game, be very friendly to me. The driving camp is done. The fuel regulator is done. So yes, we have the rush upgrade worked. And that's it. I think everything is done and dusted. We have a bunch of resource points. You can see that we have 3.2k to spend. And before ending this pre-season episode, we're going to do that. We are back ahead of Red Bull. All the names are going to be changed for the next episode, so don't worry about that. And I think I'm going to invest on the chassis because we are behind Red Bull. One minor for the tire wear, and then another one for the weight reduction. And I think the aero is going to be really important as well. We're still a little bit behind Mercedes. And it's going to be for the front downforce. And all these three should be ready for the Chinese Grand Prix. But that's it, guys. You can see race weekend season 3 round 1 ahead of us. The Bahrain Grand Prix, the season opener. If you enjoyed this pre-season video, make sure to smash the like button, scratch and if new to play more Formula 1 content. I can't wait to see what is going to happen in this season, a fully modded one. And if you are excited as I am, make sure to stay tuned and click on the ringing bell to not miss a single video. But that has been me for today. My name's Tom, and I'll see you guys for a brand new video at the Bahrain Grand Prix, the season opener. But for now, take care.